Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, you must become the victor. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be going over Watermelon Gate, which has to do with Ubisoft putting in these comically sized watermelon into the promotional material for Assassin's Creed Shadows, while Yasuke is walking into the scene. Now, sure, I will show you the video, or the image rather, of the gun clipping through his helmet, which is atrocious. But first and foremost, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I definitely recommend it. If for no other reason, then you will be notified of my YouTube community tab. Now, that may scare some of you off, but, let me just show you very briefly what my YouTube community tab is like. So this is something that I posted very recently. This is a screenshot of Miranda Lawson's ass from Mass Effect 2. If we go down, oh boy, the internet has a dark sense of humor. This is a meme that is absolutely terrible, but funny. Idris Elba coming out as a full-blown retard, thinking that the way that you solve the issues in Britain is by banning kitchen knives. No, I'm not kidding about that. But if we go down here, we get to, oh my God. Yeah. Hopefully you're not watching this before going to bed. We get down here to this right here. And a lot of you have graciously taken the time to educate me on what a Rikishi is, because I thought this creature's name was Rikishi, because I saw the word Rikishi, but people have informed me that Rikishi just basically means sumo wrestler, and that it is a title that's bestowed upon men. There is no such thing as a female Rikishi, which makes sense. A lot of people were very, very gracious to educate me on that. But if we look at this problem across the board, it's not just one thing that you can point to. It's not just one instance of a mistake. It's a bunch of mistakes, which is not just negligence. I know some people will say it's negligence. No, this is malicious. This is a culture that is continuously pushing into other cultures, trying to override and subvert those particular ways of viewing the world. So, for example, if you think that there weren't female Rikishis, well, then you're just sexist, because there absolutely were. Women were female Rikishis because these freaks deem it to be so. And they're going to revise everything and then shame you. And here's the part about it that's so ridiculous, is when these people are eventually called out for their misinformation, they will fight with you over it. No, this is the way it was. And then when that fails, when they realize they can't dominate the field, what they do is then they try to gaslight you. Like, why do you even care about this so much? Are you sexist? Are you racist? These are genuinely the most putrid, low IQ, pathetic, unctuous cultists that I've ever seen. And they deserve forevermore your mockery, your derision, your ridicule, your bullying. They deserve that because of their behavior and what they choose to do and how they choose to engage in trying to rewrite the world in their image. And it's an ugly image, to be sure. Now, for those who don't know what I was talking about, who may not have seen it, This is what I'm talking about right here. This image of Assassin's Creed Shadows is the perfect encapsulation of the game. Graphically, it doesn't look great. There's a rifle clipping through his helmet, which is something that you'd see in like 2010. There's comically large watermelons. Comically large watermelons. As Yasuke is walking through Japan, which, by the way, for those who don't know, watermelon was not common at the time, which is yet another inadequacy, another inaccuracy, another bit of something to just throw on to show that there was no duty of care for this game at all. They didn't give a shit. Not one. And also, somebody brought to my attention, they said, you really should go over the fact that watermelons and cherry blossoms cannot bloom at the same time. They're different seasons. And that's just another thing. It's more incompetence and more negligence. And I know that people say, well, but it's fantasy. Like, it can be whatever it wants. Like the Pope didn't have a magical apple. But here's the thing. The best fantasy is based in reality. It makes you believe. And when you get things obnoxiously, horribly wrong, it sort of just eats away at the trust when they try to introduce something fantastical. When they try to bring in something otherworldly. And so my point in making this video, my point in talking about this, is that I think that more duty of care should be put into stuff like this. I don't think revisionist history or altering basic things that we should all agree to is a good thing. Now, of course, you can take liberties, of course. But if you're going to make a game where you're saying that this is feudal Japan, that this is ancient times in this country, you have a duty and an obligation to get as many things as you can right, unless you are outright stating that this is a false and fake world, and that even if you do that, you have to have a certain modicum of respect. For example, when it came to God of War Ragnarok, I thought it was highly inappropriate that they made Angerboda black. I thought that was a disgusting intrusion. I don't think that anyone in the West would have accepted it if they had made a game in Africa and one of the deities they had changed to be white. I don't think they would have accepted it at all. I think there would have been an outcry because these disgusting bottom-feeding subhuman freaks on the left, they have all the patience and tolerance in the world if something aligns with their cultish, fervorish, loser worldview. But if it deviates from that, well, then it needs to be shut down. And the reality is that these people do need to be shut down. They need to be put in a mental institution. These people are a danger to themselves and others. Everything they touch turns to shit. They are a detrimental piece of garbage. And this is just one more example. Women can't be sumo wrestlers. Oh, but they can because women can do anything that a man can do. No, they can't. No, they can't. And the consequence of you taking this approach is seen everywhere. Everywhere. You can see the consequences of your action. So I would just maintain that I think it's important for us to have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to this. We need to make it abundantly clear that these studios should not have carte blanche to go about and mess with something in the name of promoting their social progress, their left-wing orthodoxy, their perspective on the world. I think that is highly harmful because the ideology that they're promoting is anti-human. It's anti-biology. It's anti-reason. It's anti-history. It's anti-culture. It's anti-human. It's anti-human. It's anti-human. No, there were no female sumo wrestlers. No, there were no black samurai. All of your constructs and all of your artificial creations, history proves them to be just that. Constructs, imagination. You creating something out of a desire other than the purity of the product that you're trying to make and other than the pleasure of the audience that you're trying to sell it to. So, yeah, I think this is worth talking about. It's worth discussing. It's worth going over. Because at the end of the day, Ubisoft is in the worst position that it's ever been. It's just cut out a huge chunk of the studio. I think it's the whole studio, actually, that created Star Wars Outlaws. 185 people are out of a job. How many more hundreds of people are going to have to lose a job before these freaks understand? How many more hundreds of people are going to have to basically be removed from the workforce before these people understand? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. We've already seen thousands. Over the past 2 or 3 years, there has been a purge at a lot of these companies, studios, just being shut down overnight. Look at Firewalk Studios, 175 people gone. And all this time, I'm making these videos. I'm commenting on it. I'm talking about it. I'm saying, hey, you know what? It'd be a better idea if you ditched the DEI, the wokeness, the LGBTQ, and you went with a non-sodomite story that didn't have any of this degeneracy and left-wing bullshit, that was just true to the spirit of the IP that you're working on. Hey, it'd be a good idea if you kept traces of the original intact, modernized it by making it look, as impressive as you want graphically, update things. But don't alienate people. Don't besmirch the gaming community. Try to reach out to them. Try to say, oh, you want attractive women in your game? That's perfectly fine. We're going to give that to you. We're going to give that to you in spades. Oh, you want to play as a masculine man? Oh, we're going to give that to you too. You don't want to play as a fat neckbeard beta cuck? Oh, okay, we're not going to do that. Oh, you don't want the characters that you see who are female to be grotesquely ugly, like they were in Concord and many of these other games? Oh, okay, well then we're not going to do that. If you actually took your head out of your ass and listened to what the community is willing to tell you for free, you would be in a much better position than you are now. And guess what? You're not in a monopoly and you never were. You see, these communistic shitbags, these freaks, these disgusting bottom-feeding subhuman parasites on the left, these Marxists, they believe that they were in a power vacuum, that they had a monopoly. But no. When you ruined American comics by injecting feminism and LGBTQ and all that other stuff, you weren't a monopoly. The only thing you were doing was tearing down this one form of art. And guess what rose from your failure? Manga. Manga exploded because they were doing the opposite of what you were doing. When you were coming after cartoons and other forms of entertainment, guess what exploded? Anime became bigger than ever because they were doing the opposite of what you were doing. They listened to their audience and they gave it to them whether they morally agreed with it or not. They gave it to them because They knew that they were selling a product while also telling a story. And you can do both. Unless you're an American comic worker, unless you're somebody in the arts working at one of these game studios, unless you're in the West, then you can't do both. Then you have to dictate to people and narrate them and try to force them to like the things you like. Well, guess what? Sort of like everyone else in your life, we don't like you. But if you make a good product, we'll buy it from you. If you make a good product, we'll buy it from you, even if we don't like you. But it's got to be good. And because we don't like you, if there's anything of you in there, the deal's off. So my advice to you would be to shut your mouth, take a shower, clean up your filthy visage, clean up your act, focus on making a good game as much as you can, and then let the gamers decide. That's the correct thing to do. Let the gamers decide. And if they tell you that they don't want to see, a gun clip through a helmet, if they tell you that your game is broken, do the right thing and take the time needed to fix it to the point where you're confident in it. What you should do right this very moment is take the game off the market, remove Yasuke entirely, don't even mention him, rename the game from Assassin's Creed Shadows to something else, remove the main character, and come back with a Japanese fighting age man to be on par with Ezio or Altair, a Japanese fighting age man that is well written and dynamic and interesting and a character that people can root for and like. That's what you need to do. All this other bullshit is a distraction, and until you get your head out of your ass, you are going to experience more failure until you're gone. And then you'll be bought up by a Chinese company. And maybe they'll do better with all of your IPs. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.